Hello Trophy Hunters, today I want to talk about milestones. Now milestones for Trophy Hunters can be really special. We often set aside games holding off that one last trophy, just so when the platinum pops it becomes our next milestone. I've talked to loads of people who have mapped out dozens of platinums ahead, knowing exactly what they want for their 100th or even their 200th platinum to be. I find that really fascinating. The choices you make for your milestones make your trophy list even more personal than they already are. They capture a part of who you are and what you enjoy. But I also love to look back, even when the milestones weren't planned. Each game becomes a snapshot or a time capsule of the gaming landscape back then. 15 years is a really long time after all. So today I want to go all the way back to my very first platinum and cover every 25th milestone after that. I now have 250, so we have about 11 to talk about. Some were very carefully chosen, others just fell into place. But together they tell my story as a trophy hunter. I love that my very first platinum is from one of my favourite franchises. Resident Evil 5 was many things, mainly a departure from the classics, and being the sequel to one of the greatest video games of all time. It certainly did its best, pushing forward with the momentum that Resident Evil 4 introduced. Co-op was the name of the game and the answer to Resident Evil 4's third-person overhaul. It had decent results. There's a good game here, especially with a partner, and trophy-wise, it was a blast to play through. A good mix of story and difficulty-related trophies, along with collectibles, and quite a fair bit of money farming to upgrade the weapons. It makes for a fine first platinum, featuring everything you would expect from a nice standard platinum journey. Whilst I enjoyed the platinum, I didn't really know any better, and Resident Evil wise, I really felt the departure from the survival horror roots of the earlier games. Even with the crazy on-rail shooting segments, it's still an entry to the franchise I do enjoy. 5 isn't the scariest or even the best Resident Evil, but it still marks the beginning of my trophy hunting journey. I remember how satisfying it was to pop that first platinum, after weeks of finishing every challenges, having gone through the grindy S ranks on the highest difficulties, along with the weapon unlocks and getting all of the collectibles. I'll also never forget how useless Sheva was during the Wesker boss fights, but overall it really set the tone for every other platinum going forward, and I couldn't wait to start getting more, and that was all thanks to this game.
Damn it, where's Jill?
3 years later, for my 25th platinum, is Killzone, the original PS2 game re-released on the PS3. This game was once hyped as Sony's Halo killer, and while it never quite reached those heights, it still had this dark atmosphere that has really stuck with me after all this time. The intro still gives me goosebumps to this day, and I've always enjoyed the very grown-up and mature story. It made a good enough impression on me on the PS2 that I've gone for and nearly earned every Killzone Platinum released so far. The first game is clunky in a way that many 2000s FPSs felt, but there was something inherently cool, gritty and grounded about it all. That and it being the first in a legendary PlayStation franchise. I recently saw the physical edition of this re-release and it was over £100. I'm pretty sure they gave it to us on PlayStation Plus one year, unless I picked it up for cheap in a sale. It's likely the easiest Killzone Platinum next to the recent re-release of the PSP's Killzone Liberation. Most of the trophies are simply weapon kill, story related or character specific. There's even 3 multiplayer trophies to earn, but this is a 100% offline affair. Nothing like the later games where online multiplayer trophies were the norm and are some of the hardest associated with the genre. The campaign holds up surprisingly well, and if you can withstand the PS3 era load times along with the PS2 graphics, you'll find a fun and worthy platinum that's a great part of PlayStation history. I'm forever gutted that Killzone Shadowfall is unobtainable, but I still plan to revisit it, hopefully to earn as much percentage as I can.
Defenders of the Helghast dream, now is our time!
My 50th milestone is a bit more light-hearted. LEGO Batman DC Superheroes 2 on the PlayStation Vita. Completely unplanned, just me vibing and enjoying gaming on the go. I love that my Vita, which I still play often, gets some milestone love here. And a LEGO game of all things. I have no other LEGO Platinums, but I do have the LEGO Hobbit on my back catalogue somewhere, so maybe another to add one day. I didn't plan this one out, I was just enjoying my Vita and the variety of games that PlayStation Plus was giving us. Playing on the go, collecting bricks and smashing everything in sight. It was the kind of chill game that reminded me why I love handheld gaming. I've always loved the LEGO games, the amount of different characters you can unlock, all with their unique abilities. I just think there's a lot to see and do in the LEGO ones. I've since played a newer LEGO game, I forget what one exactly, but it was definitely a Marvel one. But it was round my brother's place where I got to play some split screen with my nephew. The game's come a really long way, and I'm considering adding a couple more to my Platinum collection. You guys will have to let me know your favourites. The rarest trophy in this game is Justice is Served. Win gold in every arena in Justice League mode. I'm not even going to pretend what that involves. I'm pretty old and I can't remember.
Standing ovation? Did not expect that, but I'll take it. And also everything else.
Now this one was planned. Alien Isolation was my 75th Platinum, and it's one of my favourite games of all time, easily. The way it chokes you with atmosphere and hooks you in, it's a perfect representation of Ridley Scott's Alien in video game form. Every corridor, every tabletop, every area is full of detail and purpose. The alien itself is terrifying, on screen and off of it. He is an efficient hunter, learning from your tactics and always pursuing. Nothing can kill it, most things just piss it off even more. The risk of using something to escape means it'll be less effective next time. The AI model of a star beast is something still talked about to this very day. The trophy list is a long and difficult one. Even if you are somehow immune to the stress that playing this game generates, you still have to complete the game on the hardest difficulty without dying and without killing any human enemies. That's a tall ask for one playthrough, so 2 or even 3 is not recommended. The most stressful trophy for me were actually the collectibles. Every fibre in my bones wanted to explore this game, but when there's an 8-foot angry lizard standing between you and the ID tag, you tend to avoid it. The whole Platinum just built up this pressure in me. There was no better trophy for me than 100 times too many. Get killed by the alien 100 times. It was liberating to be able to sprint and whack walls with my spanner after avoiding it for dozens of hours. I was kind of impressed I didn't earn it naturally across my multiple stress-induced playthroughs. I'm glad I marked this one with a milestone. Also, it being the 75th kind of feels close to the movie's initial release date in 1979. On a final, personal note, my partner bought this for me at a time when I didn't have much money. Not that I have much now, but I was looking to switch jobs at the time. I was very low in self-esteem, and she knew how much I loved Alien, but also that I didn't want to splash out on a new release. I'll always be thankful for that gift. She felt a little bad once she realised the stress of playing it nearly killed me, but I'm forever grateful nonetheless.
Let's hope this thing works.
It's an animal. Animals are afraid of fire.
I hope you're right.
"100 Platinums. I wanted this one to be big and relevant to what I love, and Mortal Kombat X fit the bill. A fighting game in a franchise that I literally grew up with every installment. I planned for this one hard, but I'll admit I rushed to the late 80s and 90s just to get there. Many regrets live here in my trophy hunting journey. Sound shapes for the triple platinum Autopop, Orc Slayer, well, that one is self-explanatory, but they don't take away the enjoyment I had earning the platinum itself. MKX's 10th anniversary has just passed, and also helping another trophy hunter recently to boost this has reminded me of how much I love this game. The characters, the darker tone, even compared to other Mortal Kombats, is absolutely peak for me. Not to mention the strongest DLC character roster I can think of: Predator, Alien, Jason, Leatherface, as well as returning classic fighters like Tanya, Bo Rai Cho, and the Cyborg Ninjas. There's no denying there are some outright cruel trophies in this game. A huge grind in leveling up both a personal level and a separate faction system, as well as the online requirements and the horrendous Titan boss battle. Earning 1000 King of the Hill respect points is a high I don't think I can ever replicate. Not only must you consistently win against other players, you have to win legitly in a way that other people respect. That basically means no throw or projectile spamming, and even then you're at the mercy of what points they decide to give you. 10 ranked wins in a row is another rough one, but one I earned early on, as I tend to practice and jump into ranked early in a game's life cycle, even before tackling the story. I didn't rush this game, I played it at my own pace, and for the most part didn't worry about the trophies. I tend to do that with fighting games because I love them so much. But it became apparent that I needed to choose something for my 100th, and I think I made a good decision that really reflects my gaming tastes.
Go high among the stars. Round 1, fight.
My 125th milestone was Star Wars Battlefront 2, the game that practically made EA infamous for loot boxes, giving the company somehow an even worse reputation than they already had. When it launched, it was a mess: pay-to-win mechanics, absurd progression systems. The community backlash was so intense, it forced EA to overhaul the whole system. But by the time I went for the platinum, the game had become something much better. It's a joy to play something when you recognize every character, weapon, battle droid and vehicle, and for anyone who loves Star Wars, it's nothing but a good time. I 100%ed the original, spending hundreds of hours, even getting the DLC that had a huge time requirement. The sequel is similar in length and difficulty, both being around 5 out of 10 and a couple hundred of hours each. There's even a single player campaign in this one, along with a free DLC epilogue with its own trophy set. The rarest trophy in the base game is called multitasking, where you have to defeat 25 hero ships, like the Millennium Falcon, with your standard class fighter ship, like a TIE fighter or an X-Wing. Hero ships spawn once or twice during a standard game, and have bloated health and shields. Everyone goes for them because that's the only way to kill them. You've got to group up and focus fire. You'll rarely win in a 1v1 situation because they're so overpowered, so it becomes very difficult to get the final hit on these players. Persistence is key to this ultra rare platinum, but one I really enjoyed overall.
Hit him with everything you got! My ship's about to fail.
My 150th is Dead or Alive 5 last round, which was an unplanned milestone, but I'm happy with it anyway. It's another fighting game on the list, and it gets 3D fighter recognition in my milestones. It is kinda fan service to fighting game, which is a bit unfair because once you get past the costumes and actual advertised jiggle physics, there's a mechanically rewarding 3D fighter here, with many varied characters, and they all have really big move lists to learn. For anyone interested, I main Elliot and Hitomi, but honestly, the characters in Dead or Alive are great. It is confusing how many versions there are of this game. There's Doa 5 Last Round, Doa 5 Vanilla, and also Doa 5 Ultimate. I'm not 100% sure of the differences other than a couple on PS3 or PS4, but I think one of them is a free-to-play version. It's not too bad for a fighting game trophy list. The guide has it at a 4 out of 10 difficulty and around 15 hours, which I do agree with. The rarest trophy, however, is a bit unique as it's for completing all lessons in tutorial mode, which is pretty funny that tutorial trophies are usually the first ones earned in any other genre, but when it comes to a fighting game, suddenly that's your rarest trophy in the whole game. It's because the tutorial in Dead or Alive is very extensive, takes a while to get through, along with some challenging parts to it. You can expect at least 3 hours of learning different lessons here. Most other trophies are straightforward for playing specific modes in offline or playing the different lobby types in online mode. There's a grind for fighting 100 times online, but even that is quite tame for a fighting game. Overall, it was a nice, straightforward, quick fighting game from a series that I hadn't much experience with, but I enjoyed enough to look forward to the 6th installment. Milestone 175 brought me to Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, a small retro-style side-scroller heavily inspired by Castlevania. For good reason too, since it was part of the original creator's Kickstarter for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, a game I still need to play. Curse of the Moon 1 and 2 were actually stretch goals for that main project. The first Curse of the Moon didn't have a platinum trophy, but I still really enjoyed getting the 100%. Curse of the Moon 2 is a bigger, more ambitious game with more characters, levels and bosses than the original. It nails that retro feel but also modernizes things in just the right ways. I love the pixel art, the music and especially the character switching mechanic inspired by later Castlevania titles. Each character has their own strengths and weaknesses, making them ideal for different situations and enemies. The game can be tough, especially if you're not used to older style platformers or side-scrollers, but there's a casual difficulty option that makes the experience much more approachable. That also does not disable trophies. The boss fights are the highlight, although unfortunately there's no trophy tied to the boss rush mode since it was added after launch. The rarest trophy challenges you to complete the final episode using only Zangetsu, which is much harder since you lose the versatility of the full team. I'd recommend both games in a heartbeat, though I should probably take my own advice and finally play Ritual of the Night. Platinum 200 was a huge milestone, and one I put a lot of thought into before finally falling onto Dead Space Remake. I had just started building my channel, probably around Platinum 195, so this was the first major milestone I made a video about. And while I am happy with how it turned out, the intro remains one of my favourite pieces I've ever made. I love Dead Space, every sequel and spin-off included. And yes, that includes Dead Space 3, I feel like it has a lot of redeeming qualities. This remake brought back all the positive feelings I have for the franchise, the atmosphere, the tension, even the zero-G combat. It's everything survival horror should be. Mixing Resident Evil 4 with Aliens and The Thing was a genius idea, and happens to be 3 of my favourite things. I was heartbroken to hear the remake didn't sell well enough for EA to greenlight a Dead Space 2 remake. But for me, this game will always be a highlight of my trophy hunting journey. The hardest trophies in the game aren't too different from the original. You still need to complete the game on impossible difficulty, fully upgrade all of the weapons, and finish a run using only the plasma cutter for the 1 gun trophy. One thing that is thankfully missing is the infamous asteroid shooting sequence trophy, which was easily the trophy I enjoyed the least in the OG PS3 game. Having been inspired by so many things, it's nice to see newer games that carry Dead Space's spirit and do it justice. 225 was another unplanned platinum, Resistance Retribution, a PSP entry in the Resistance series, now thankfully playable on modern consoles. And just like my LEGO Vita milestone, I'm really happy to have a PSP game unexpectedly land on my list. And I had so much fun with it. I genuinely enjoy the Resistance games. It's a franchise I still hope will return someday. I never played Retribution at launch, but as soon as it was announced for the Classics catalogue, I knew I wanted to platinum it. It's a fun third-person shooter, nothing groundbreaking, but I enjoyed the story, the chaotic main character, and as always with Resistance, the variety of enemies and awesome weapons. The trophy list is simple and straightforward. I earned everything in a single playthrough, made even easier by the Classics catalogue features like rewind and save states. It's definitely an easy list when the rarest trophy is just for completing the final level. Really, the only challenge is your tolerance for older PSP style controls and graphics, something I seem immune to. Back then, every new release convinced me graphics and gameplay couldn't possibly get any better. I now have every Resistance Platinum, and even though the series has been dormant for years, I'll always hold out hope.
Fuck you, Mallory.
Excellent.
Which brings us to Platinum 250, earned just last week, and it's Monster Hunter Wilds. It was very nearly Returnal, that was my original plan, but I took a step back and thought about what Monster Hunter really means to me, and the answer was clear enough to make it my 250th milestone. Returnal is still incredible, by the way, and I'm still working towards that platinum. Part of me didn't want Monster Hunter to be the milestone. Every other game in the series has taken me hundreds of hours, and this one was a little under that, especially since I avoided some of the more grindy trophies. There's always that unreasonable thought that once you platinum a game, it feels finished. I struggled with that for a while, but I've learned to keep playing the games I genuinely love, platinum or not. And for me, there's no better showcase of that than Monster Hunter. With some focus, this platinum could probably be done, I don't know, in 50 hours, maybe 60 or 70. I'll be doing a full video on it soon, so please look out for that, alongside some of the trophy list reviews I've got in the works. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one, and let me know in the comments about your own milestone platinum. Were there any you loved? Perhaps some you regret? I feel lucky that even my unplanned milestones ended up being games I really enjoyed. So happy hunting for now, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.
Agreed.
Sounds great to me.